Hey, hello, hello. Welcome to the Faithful Finish Lines YouTube channel. Tonight in this video, we are going to be talking about junk food versus healthy food and managing family food challenges in all kinds of those social environments that can be really challenging. So think holidays, Christmas traditions, Thanksgiving Day, birthday celebrations, think family members, husbands eating junk food next to you on the couch, eating ice cream next to you. Think kids and all the snack foods that they eat and bring into the house, and all kinds of other things. Think about your mother-in-law baking your favorite pie for you, and even non-family examples, just in general social situations with coworkers bringing donuts into work. There's this endless list of social situations that can make making healthy choices really difficult. So I want to ask you, when was the last time you struggled to stick to your healthy eating goals when you were in some kind of social environment? So think about the things that I just mentioned: a junk food eating husband, kids bringing food into the house, a coworker bringing donuts to work, a family tradition, a birthday. I hear a lot of women who have a lot of birthdays in their family back to back to back to back. And they say, well, once eating the cake wasn't bad, but I ate birthday cake 6 times in the last week. And so it makes it really hard to stick to your goals. So let me know in the comments whether you're here live or whether you're watching the replay. Let me know, when was the last time you struggled to stick to healthy choices in some kind of social environment? And we are just going to jump right in. So I am Becky. I run Faithful Finish Lines together with Sarah. Sarah and I have each lost 100 pounds, and we have maintained it for over a decade. And in Faithful Finish Lines, we mentor women in losing weight in a grace-focused way that keeps God at the center of their weight loss journey. So we are so glad you're here, and we are going to dive right in. Okay, so let's just talk about a few of the different ways. We talked about a few of the different environments that social situations bring to the struggles that they bring to sticking to your healthy choices. I'm going to talk about a few of the specific ways that relationships can impact your food choices. So first, we have the infamous food pushers. A food pusher is somebody who encourages you to overeat or eat off of your plan or eat something that you really don't want to eat at the moment. For example, maybe you say you want a small piece of whatever your brother-in-law just made, a special homemade cheesecake, maybe a personal actual example. And he says things like, you deserve it. You worked hard today. Calories don't count on Fridays. And I used low-fat cream cheese in this cheesecake. It's fine. All of those things that food pushers say. So if you have a food pusher in your life, go ahead and just give me a hand raise in the comments. This is the one I put first because this is the one I have the most experience with, very up close and personal in family and friend situations. But I have some pretty intense food pushers in my life who push pretty hard. So if you have heard any of those things, you deserve it. It's fine. Calories don't count on Fridays, the weekend, the holidays, birthdays, all of those excuses. I see some hand raises in the comments already. Yes, I think food pushers are very common. We also have food police, who are different than food pushers. The food police are those people who comment on your food choices in kind of a judgy way. So, for example, Sarah has had more experience with food police than I have in her life, but she has shared about experiences where she was at a church potluck as a pastor's wife. She's a pastor's wife, and somebody would say something like, do you really need that piece of cake? Or something just kind of like, are you sure you should be eating those chips right now? Is that really part of your plan? Things like that can be quite a doozy of other people uninvitedly commenting on your food choices. Um, yes. Somebody, Linda says in the comments, a food police in a very polite way. Yes, food police and food pushers can have the best of intentions and very kind hearts and try to say like, oh, bless your heart, look at you eating those chips, that kind of thing, when you kind of know it's a little bit judgy. All right, so we have food pushers, we have food police, we have things like husbands eating junk food next to you. Both Sarah and I are married to men who love nighttime snacks, and both of them happen to really love ice cream and chips. And when you are trying to make healthy choices and that temptation is not only just beside you and next to you, but it is offered to you and sometimes pushed on you, but just offered to you again and again. Oh my goodness, it can be really, really challenging, especially when you're thinking about patterns and habits that you've established with your spouse. Oftentimes it's a way that you have connected over the years. Often it's paired with like watching a TV show together, or just it's part of your nighttime routine where food is almost a connecting point between you two. And so it gets more complicated than just saying, oh, I'm not going to eat the ice cream. It's like, well, gosh, if I say no to the ice cream, I don't want to lose that connection to my husband as well. And it doesn't have to just be husbands. This can be pizza night with your friends, or anybody that you regularly have connected with over food. Food is more than just food. It can be a connecting point. It's really challenging. In my house right now, I have an almost 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they go to this really sweet Mother's Day Out program during the year, and already the food snacks are insane. They get sent home with so many snacks and candy things. Man, on Halloween and Easter and Christmas, there is just candy exploding everywhere at any opportunity. On birthdays, people bring in cupcakes and donuts and all of these things. And so already the junk food in their lives, and they're tiny, right, is already just exploding out everywhere. And it definitely bleeds into our household. And so those are just another layer of food temptations that are everywhere. And so food is just, like I mentioned before, without a doubt, a way to connect to people relationally. So think about baking somebody's favorite meal, how that shows that you really care. I am somebody who still loves to show care through food. Think about meal trains, like when somebody dies, when somebody's having a hard time, when somebody has a really stressful week. Food is a very tangible way to care for people. And it's not always a negative thing. There just can be extra challenges when you're really trying hard to make healthy choices. And somebody brings you your favorite meal and it happens to be all fried food covered in all kinds of sauce and all of the things with like a huge mound of your favorite desserts. And it can just make it complicated to get to your goals. And so think about, like somebody bringing you homemade bread or cookies. That is a genuine and heartfelt sign of love for you, right? They genuinely just want to show you that they care. Think about eating your family's traditional food on holidays. That can be such a special way to connect to your family members when you're thinking, oh my goodness, Uncle Bob's turkey, we have that this way every year, or Aunt Susan's sweet potatoes, you got to put more marshmallows and more butter for it to be like hers. And those things like that have been a part of your life for years and years and years. They really can genuinely be ways to connect with people. And in all of that, in all of those examples that I just mentioned, even in the heartfelt, genuine, positive love, affection, care, in all of that, we still have to have healthy boundaries with food to protect and care for our bodies. And this is a big struggle with with all people, but especially, in our Christian world, just in church culture, often it is so common to have huge potlucks and donuts at a Sunday service. And, there are just kind of staples in church life that don't always make it easy to stick to healthy choices. And I have fortunately seen a shift in that in a couple of the past churches that I've been in. And it actually hasn't been congregation led, it's actually been pastor led. The pastors had made some sort of healthy shift in their lives, and somehow it wasn't a forced thing. It kind of shifted the culture of the congregation, and there started to be more healthier foods at potlucks and things like that. So it's interesting how some of those things can shift just with one person making a change. And hopefully that empowers you, that you can also be that person to make the change. If you are a part of a Bible study and everybody always brings really junky food, you can be that person who starts bringing, I don't know, like roasted vegetables or something, something different that just provides a different option. It's kind of a vulnerable position, because you don't want to be that girl, right? That woman who is kind of like, oh, there's Becky with her vegetables again. And also, the more and more I've chosen to be that woman, the more and more I've seen that my healthy choices, even though it feels vulnerable, right? It feels like, oh, I don't want to be seen as the different person here when everybody else is bringing the really delicious stuff. I want to bring delicious stuff too, right? But the more I've done it, I have noticed a huge impact on the people around me. And it's not that I am single-handedly changing the world around me, but my choices do impact others, and they're noticing and they're seeing, and it changes the choices that they are making as well. And it's pretty cool to see. So let's get back to relationships. So this is where our struggle to lay healthy boundaries with food also collides with our struggles to lay healthy boundaries in relationships, right? Because we love people so genuinely, and we want them to feel loved and valued by us. And so if you do have a food pusher in your family, my brother-in-law, right? When you have a food pusher in your family, I love him. I love him so much. And I see his heart and him being so generous. And I really want to work hard to not only preserve my relationship with him, but I also want to lay boundaries in healthy places for my body. And I want that for you as well. I want you to be able to both preserve your relationships while laying healthy boundaries for your unique body and the choices that you need to make in your season right now. And I really do believe that both are possible. It just can be really complicated. It can be a really hard thing to evaluate. Well, where's that boundary today in preserving the relationship, and also laying those healthy boundaries and standing firm, but not being annoying about it, or shoving it in their face and hurting feelings. It's a tough balance. It is a tricky balance, and there's no specific formula to follow to every situation. There's just not. That's not how relationships work, right? There's a lot of responsiveness and a lot of just recognizing what's going on in the situations. So, like I said, different ways to respond to everybody's situation, but I do want to empower you with these 4 truths that may help you in some of these situations. Obviously, like I said, evaluate your own situation, see if it's helpful for you. But these are 4 of the things that I have used often for myself that have helped keep me on track when I'm managing those social situations and kind of trying to battle my own food cravings at the same time as the social pressures of all of the rest of it. There's just a lot that goes into managing healthy and junk food choices in all of this. And I just want to also throw out there, before I get to these 4 truths, I also want to throw out there that we at Faithful Finish Lines, both Sarah and I, we highly encourage encourage eating treats regularly. So when I say make healthy choices in social situations, I'm not saying I never eat a brownie or a cookie or a cupcake or onion rings or, whatever. I'm not saying I never eat those in situations. What I am kind of getting at with the relationship stuff is how to manage your own food temptations and food cravings in the midst of that, which Sarah and I teach the 3 Ps. We've talked about that on other videos and on blog posts on our site. You can search that at faithfulfinishlines.com. And also just managing that, that pressure that we put on ourselves, the expectations that we put on ourselves to make everybody else happy and comfortable with our choices. Those are tricky, tricky things to navigate when it comes to relationships. Okay, so I want to give you these 4 truths. Number 1, you can be both firm and kind. That is something that sounds really simple and sounds really obvious, but it was really hard for me to navigate for a long time, to learn that as somebody who struggled with low self-esteem, as somebody who had really hard food pushers in my life. You can be both firm and kind at the same time. So I'm a big fan of the love sandwich. I use that with food pushers all the time. I'll say things like, wow, this cake looks amazing. I'm not going to have any right now, but thank you so much for offering. That was so thoughtful of you. Can I take a piece home for later? I use that a lot. I genuinely do take pieces home for later. Part of our 3 Ps is a pause. And if I didn't have a day that lends itself to eating an extra treat on top of it, then a lot of the time I do want to eat it later. I like treats, but I want to eat it in a planned and intentional way. And so that's part of how I build in the pause, is taking it home for later. And so I genuinely mean it. And so I like to use love sandwiches, being both firm and kind. No, I'm not going to eat the cake, and I would love to take it for later. Okay, number 2, you are the only person who decides what and how much you eat. So once again, it seems like this should be an obvious thing, but once again, this is something that I struggled with for a long time. I really, again, let's put the low self-esteem in there, as well as that expectation and wanting to make people comfortable and happy. It was really easy for me to tell myself, oh my goodness, if they offer me the cake, I have to eat the cake, obviously. If they tell me they baked these cookies just for me, I have to eat one in front of them right now. I have to. And it just was something that was kind of a thought pattern that I told myself, well, this is just what you have to do. And it's not what you have to do. You are the only person who decides what and how much you eat. And it also, along with that, it also can be really easy to feel like you are a victim of somebody else's choices. Well, my husband brought ice cream to the couch again, so he's the reason that I'm eating this tonight. And it's really easy to say, well, because of them, because of their choices, this is what I have to do. I have to eat the pizza that was brought in for this work lunch. I have to eat the ice cream that was brought as the dessert for this potluck, things like that. But you are the only person who decides what and how much you eat. That's the food pusher gets in there too, because sometimes it's not even just about offering the piece of cake. It's like, well, obviously, if you like the cake, you're going to have another piece. Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard. It's hard enough to say no once, but it is so hard to stand your ground and say no again and again and again, because it feels mean. It can feel mean, and it can feel cruel. But yeah, you are the only person who decides what and how much you eat. Your third truth is, just because it's right for someone else doesn't make it the right decision for you. Just because it's right for them doesn't mean it's right for you. And again, this is where Christian weight loss really changed my weight loss journey versus like diet things, other programs in general, because The right choices for me are choices that I have studied myself. I've come up with myself. I've looked at how my body responds. I've looked at my specific calorie goals. I've looked at how my weight is responding to my choices. I've looked at how my body responds to different food. I've asked the Lord for direction in what's a good choice, what's a bad choice, what's food temptation, what's me giving into temptation, and what's me supporting my long-term healthy choices with treats. Where is the line there? Where am I sinning? Where am I not? Where am I preserving relationships? Where am I not? And so much of this is led by God in this, and data too, looking at your information of your body and what has worked in the past and patterns. But you are the only person who decides what and how much you eat. And just because it's right for someone else doesn't make it right for you. It's so hard when you have the thin friend who is going out to pizza with you every Friday night and they down half a pizza and they don't even blink and they don't gain an ounce. And you are counting every single calorie and you're eating the salad with a tiny slice and you end up gaining a pound in the morning. It is so hard. There's this mental battle with, that's not fair. God, why did you create her body like that? Why can she do that and I can't? Why do I sit next to a husband every night on the couch who can eat a whole big old bowl of ice cream and I eat 2 bites and that's too much for my body? Why, Lord? And there's some good wrestling in there. And there's also the truth of, just because it's right for somebody else doesn't make it right for you. And it doesn't really make it right for them either. It's just the decision they're making, right? That's just kind of how that is in life. So those are the first 3 that we've gone over so far. The fourth one is, the more you practice laying boundaries with yourself and with others, the easier they will be to stick to. I would say that laying boundaries is a skill. It's not, a lot of times in weight loss, we'll say that just comes so naturally to them. They just naturally like to eat all the healthy food. They just naturally like to exercise. It's easier for their body. That is just how they were wired. I'm saying all of these things because they've gone through my own head before, and we're really easy at, or it's just so easy to say, it's easy for them. And so because it's hard for me, I really shouldn't have to do the hard thing. But laying boundaries is a skill. The more you practice laying boundaries with yourself and with others in these social situations and beyond, but specifically talking about these social situations, having a plan when you go into Thanksgiving and saying, you know what? I love Aunt Susan's sweet potato casserole. And so I am going to have a bite of that, but I'm probably going to skip the stuffing this year because I just don't care as much about that. And instead I'll, have some extra green beans or whatever it is, it's just being intentional. It's having those boundaries with yourself. It's making wise decisions that honor the boundaries for your unique body. And again, there's a lot of seeking God's guidance in all of this because I read a lot of articles and research about weight loss and what works and what doesn't, and bodies and eating. And I am very convinced that we still know this much about how the body actually works because God, he just created us to be so complex. And so, it's tough for things out there to claim this is the way, this is the only way, this is the right way, when most of those things over the years have come back slightly flawed. And I just believe that our job is to do the best we can with the information we have. And the best you can with the information you have, a lot of it is taking the data and pairing it with your faith and seeking God's guidance in all of those choices and asking him ahead of time, what would a healthy Thanksgiving even look like for me this year? What would it look like to go to my mother-in-law's house and not have a slice or a full slice of that my favorite apple pie that she bakes me every time I visit. What would that look like, God? Like, how do I manage this? How do I not hurt her feelings? How do I navigate this? And it's tough. There is no easy answer. There is no formula. There is no right way that you can do it every single time. But we do have a God. We do have a God that we can lean on in his infinite wisdom when ours fails us. And again, that is what sets Christian weight loss apart. So these are just some of the real world things that just aren't talked about as often in weight loss, but still really impact our weight loss a lot. The social situation, seeking God when there isn't a clear answer. These are the things that we need to be talking about more in the world of weight loss. And this is what we talk about specifically in our success test that we haven't shared in other places in the same way. So if you are looking to take this a step further and you're listening to this information saying, okay, I want to see God in my weight loss, but how? What does that even look like? What would it look like? Like, how can I figure out how to navigate this situation with my mother-in-law? You absolutely have a personal relationship with God. You have the Holy Spirit inside of you and you can seek him yourself. But usually when it comes to weight loss, we need a community of support and we need some extra guidance. Sometimes it's just really helpful for people to give us a little bit of extra support. And that's what Sarah and I do in the success test. It starts in just a few days. It starts on August 1st. And we are going to be guiding you through our new Faithful Finish Lines success guidelines that were written for real women going through real life seasons with families and relational dynamics and holidays and work stressors and everything else in life that rightfully takes our time and attention so that weight loss isn't always our top priority. But we show you how you can realistically fit it into every season of your life to care for your body well. And this program is really about empowering you. It's about asking the right questions to guide you to your response, to point you to showing you that, giving you that extra support in how to seek God in these very specific, unique things. And we are so excited to share it with you. And there are just very specific examples that Sarah and I share in there that we haven't shared elsewhere, not because we've been trying to withhold, but it's just really hard to encapsulate a full 100-pound weight loss journey for both of us in a program. So we are just really, really excited. I see multiple people in the comments that are so excited to learn more on the success test. They're really looking forward to the success test. We really hope that you join us as well. We would love to mentor you along your weight loss journey and just point you to the Lord for his ultimate support in your overcoming in this area. So let me pray us out. And we will be back next week. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for creating us for relationship. And thank you for using our relationships and our relationship with food as ways to draw you nearer to us. Lord, I ask that you bless these women watching this video right now. I ask that you would guide them to their next best healthy choice, whether that's at work tomorrow when somebody brings in donuts or pizza for lunch, that they would just be wise and intentional and calm about their food choices and about the boundaries that they lay in their relationships with others and with themselves. I ask that you give them wisdom. I ask that you give them confidence. And I ask that you would just inspire them and motivate them as you draw them nearer to you, as you call them to a better way, to choices that would help them and not harm them. Lord, show them exactly what that looks like and guide them every step of the way. We love you, Lord, and we ask all these things in your son's precious name. Amen. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We can't wait to see you in the success test, and we will be back next week. All right, bye.